Now, for the loyal listeners of Dos and D, the last time that you and I did a show together, we called it, we made a huge mistake. And those that listen basically, we were on our way that day to go see a man by the name of the hard drive doctor.
Oh, that's right.
Because we basically lost all our equipment. And what actually happened, you might just want to bring the listeners in, because we went and saw this guy, all our hopes, all our content of 2.5 years were there. Oh. And what was his comment to us?
Yeah, his comment to us, boys, not even Jesus Christ could save you. And by saving, not even Jesus Christ could save your hard drive. That's what he was saying. And wasn't that a kick to the guts?
Oh, we lost everything. So on that day, we were a little bit optimistic that we may get it. Turns out we lost everything. So we were reminiscing the other day, because obviously in our last night in Hawthorne, we sat on the couch in a pretty bare apartment, and we were just
reminiscing.
We were just reminiscing about some of the memories we had and some of our
many
favorite
great
stories.
memories.
And unfortunately, we've lost some of this great content. But
it's all still there audio. You can always get it on Spotify.
You can go and listen to 130
plus
plus episodes right now on. So make sure you, of course, follow and subscribe to Dos and D Show and leave a review. But one of our favorite stories ever, and our audience has grown exponentially since we told this story, which was a long, long time ago, just before we went to England. And it involves one of our former guests on the show who came over one day to do an interview with us, and lovely of him. And we thought today we might just reshare one of the funniest stories for you and I personally that we just feel ever happened at that Hawthorne place. So I want you to set the scene a little bit by explaining maybe who came over. You don't have to drop a name, but
initials JT.
Very well dressed on this occasion.
Yeah, t-shirt, nice little pair of blue jeans.
What was he wearing?
Light blue jeans, brand spanking new white t-shirt, like brand new, good brand. And we just went and got a coffee before it, and we had a great chat. Went over and did the interview upstairs, got it done.
And he actually was going on a date after.
He was on his way to a date.
So he wanted to quickly get a podcast in before heading to a date. And how old would you say he's roughly?
I'd say he's close to 70.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Maybe mid-60s, yeah.
Yeah, and he's... what build would he...
No, sorry. I reckon he might be 60. I've probably done the man a disservice there.
Just giving him an extra 10 years.
I mean, I did that with one of our former guests as well, John Sadler, your uncle. I mean, the man turned 40, and I said, yeah, remember your 50th birthday?
That you weren't at.
Oh, no. God. But yeah, he was well-dressed, and he smelled great, and... He was off his way on a date after the interview, and we were all three of us were in a frantic rush. I think I was off somewhere, so my car is at the back of the unit block, whereas your car's at the front on the street. So you and our guest were on your way to the front of the street, so I turned the opposite way. So I can't see you guys. I'm off. You and JT, you and John. Oh no, no.
John and I decided to leave the premises because Dos just decided to give his name. And let's just say he's quite a. When I say big man, he's a big presence about him, doesn't he? He really
he's got a very
commands respect.
Yeah, he's a strong, tall stature. Very. What's the right wording?
Solid.
Solid. I mean, yeah. If you punched him in the chest or the guts, your hand would break.
Yeah, so big man, and towers over you and I. So
lovely man,
and a great interview, and
one of the most kind people you'll ever meet.
It was a great chat, but the problem lies when we all rushed off, like you said. So you went one way, and him and I went another way because our cars were parked in similar places. So we're leaving the apartment block. And what you do, you go down the stairs and you walk out through a little sort of garden with a concrete path and then onto the road and away you go. But the problem was I was in the middle of conversation with him. And I said to the great man, because I hadn't met him to that day, I said, I'll connect with you on LinkedIn. Now, at this precise moment that I said I'll connect with you on LinkedIn, he wanted to reply to me, say, yeah, that would be great. So he turns his body.
So you're behind him.
I'm behind him. And I've sort of said in front, said, yeah, I'll connect with you on LinkedIn, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, and as he turns and says, yeah, that would be great, there was this tiny little step, just one step that sits at the front of the apartment block that most people miss.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the great man, as he's turned around, is taking his next step. He's expecting his foot to hit the ground, and it never hit the ground. So he's quickly, and I promise all the listeners right now that I saw this in slow motion. My view, standing behind him, was that this big man goes to take a step and quickly realizes, oh shit. And as he to stop himself from falling, he starts taking step after step after step, which is actually picking up speed. So he's
like quick step.
He's almost jogging. But unfortunately, his body is starting to tilt. So he's gone from
So
standing
he's tilting.
upright. So he's as every step he takes, unfortunately, his body's becoming more and more horizontal. Until the point, and I swear this happened in slow motion, I could see him thinking, I'm going to hit the dirt, hit the deck here. So as his body's almost horizontal, he starts to shift like a wrestler taking a fall. And he falls perfectly.
On his side
and you just hear
back,
this
yeah.
boosh.
Yeah.
An earthquake hit Hawthorn that day. Like it was this big bang. And straight into a puddle of mud.
And his
Didn't
keys go flying and his drink bottle and
exactly. He's got a drink bottle in his hand, so the keys go flying,
Phone.
the phone goes one way, the drink bottle goes the other way. so I go running over and I pick up his keys and his drink bottle and start picking it up. I've gone to put my hand out to him and say, like, to help him up. And he's pretending he can't see my hand because he's so embarrassed. And he goes onto a pole to bring up the big body, the big rig. So the big rig standing upright at this stage, and he's just got mud splattered all over him. And I swear that it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So at this stage, I'm handing, and I'm just like, don't laugh. He goes one way, I get in the car. And I literally had to do a 3-point turn. So I drove in one direction where he couldn't see me. And I'm not kidding. It was like Phil of the In-Betweeners when he's pissing himself.
Would you excuse me? Just for a second.
It was like I was howling in laughter in the car. Stopped myself from laughing again to drive past him. Gave him a little wave, which he just didn't want to bar it.
and he was off on the day.
And then I drove off and I started laughing my head off. And then this is where I rang you.
Oh yeah, I rang you and then you rang me and I answered the call and I just went, how good was that? You know, how good was that interview? And then you go, mate, the big man's gone down. And I said, what do you mean? And you said, mate, he's gone down. He tripped on a little step outside the front of the apartment and he's covered in shit.
He's taken the fall.
And I just lost my marbles. I remember just laughing my ass off and I'm spewing that I missed it.